In this episode of the Sidekick Life, we sit down with Nina, who rated herself a 5 out of 10 on business owner acumen, but didn't let that stop her. After a sudden job loss, she took a bold step and became a Voda franchise owner. From brand research with her husband to launching in the middle of a hurricane, Nina's journey is proof that you don't need to have it all together to take the leap. If she had the courage to do it, you can too. If you're facing uncertainty or asking yourself, could I really own a business? This episode is your sign to find out.
Trying to reach my goals, got no time for mistakes. Yeah, I'm standing on business, need a big safe. Suited up, got the blueprint in the briefcase. It's go time on the grind, these are big stakes.
Broadcasting from the Franchise Sidekick Studio, welcome to the Sidekick Life. Get ready for stories of passion, problem solvings, and success from those living life on their terms. All right, Nina, we are so excited to have you on the Sidekick Life, right? An existing entrepreneur talking to other entrepreneurs or aspiring entrepreneurs. And your story in particular is one that we want to dive into because curveball came to you in life. You overcame those challenges. You've made yourself into a successful entrepreneur, and a lot of other people want to do what you're doing now. So welcome to the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys. I appreciate the opportunity.
Awesome. Well, let's dive right in. So let's just tell everybody, how you got to this point. How did you find the franchise? What got you in that position? Just give your background to hear everybody at Sidekick Life.
Yeah. So my story is I have about 8 to 10 years in product marketing. So a lot of what I've done in life is just launch new products, new brands from concept all the way to finish. And I was really enjoying that in my career, and I was getting to a point where I felt pretty confident in that. And then speaking of curveballs, the company that I was working for, times get tough with the economy, so there was layoffs. So instead of dwelling on that and, moping around, I just thought this is my opportunity to really invest in myself. So I spent the next couple months looking at franchising, where I fell upon a franchise coach or advisor. From there, we started looking at different franchises based on my interest. So I got a list of 10. We started interviewing about 4 to 5 different companies, and that's where I landed on Voda. They stuck out immediately. One with the leadership. I could see their ambition and their drive to launch a successful company. The branding really stuck out. So I thought it would stick out against the competitors. And the third thing is it's a needs-based service. So it doesn't matter what's happening with the economy. There's always going to be a need to fix a home flood.
Hey Nina, I want to rewind a little bit because you went past something that's probably really challenging, and maybe other people have been there or are going through it or considering it. And it's that period of time when the job is done. Right. And then you're thinking about what's next. There's a tremendous amount of emotion. Sometimes there's urgency based on family economics and things like that. Can you just sit in that spot there for a minute and tell us what that was like for you?
Yeah. I mean, you go through all of the emotions. There is doubt, just wondering what you did, what you could have done better. But then you can't sit on it. So then there's, what am I going to do next? Do I want to invest in another company where I don't know what the outcome's going to be, where they can determine my fate? Or am I going to lean into myself and believe in my skills, my talents, and start my own business, start something for myself where I get a little more power to do what I want to do?
How did you get there? Did you come up with, or did you just decide you were going to move into franchising on your own? Did you have a support system that kind of pushed you towards it? A lot of people say, I want to do it, and they never do. So why were you able to get over that hump, that fear?
Yeah. So my husband and I do a lot of research. He loves YouTube videos. He's always sending me all these things. Watch this, watch this, watch this. So I knew opening a business is very challenging. I think there's a stat out there. What is it, 90% of businesses fail?
Non-franchise.
So
Not
franchise.
Businesses. No, that's good. That's good to point out.
So I liked the franchise system because while I do have a marketing and sales background, I don't know everything it takes to run a business, like HR, payroll systems, all of that stuff. So when you get into a franchise, they're here's all the tools that you need to launch. So it only accelerates your start time and then your growth from there. So while I wanted to get into a business, I knew franchising would be the smartest move because of that support system that they offer. So it kind of was a no-brainer. It was once I kind of opened my mind to being my own boss and starting my own company, it just made sense to go with a franchise.
So you mentioned your husband. So you and him are probably looking at these brands side by side. Is that correct? Or did you lead that charge through looking at these different brands?
Yeah, we did it together. I call myself the manager because I'm always the one, like I'm the project manager getting everything done. So, he was on the interviews with me and all of that. So it really was a collaborative effort. And then when it was time to like dive into the FDDs and do all that stuff, like that was on me.
Got it. Okay. So I assume you weren't going into it thinking, I want to own a restoration company, correct? I mean, that is usually pretty low on people's totem pole for like these cool brands, and you end up with a restoration company. But, it obviously came to the top for a reason.
Yeah. So I didn't start in the home services space. I actually was looking at a coffee shop, and that takes a crazy amount of equity to get just one store launched. So once I was opened up to home services, I was kind of just going from there because it was just a fraction of the cost to open it. Did I know anything about restoration? Did I think I was going to open a restoration company? No. But once they sold the idea to me, like that needs-based and how you can really help the community, especially being in Sarasota, Florida, and seeing the impact that hurricanes can have, it just made sense. I think one thing that I want to offer the community is a solution, but that's customer focused. I want to make sure, like I'm talking about being the manager, I'm also the household manager. So when I go into people's home, or my staff goes into people's home, that homeowner feels comfortable and confident that we can do the job and that we're going to treat them fairly.
Yeah, it's so interesting. There's always inflection points or relationships in our lives that completely take us in a new direction. So you working with a franchise advisor, you went into it thinking coffee shop, you left it thinking restoration or ending up in restoration, right? So, let's just say you never met a franchise advisor. Do you think you would have got into a coffee shop or a different type of franchise? And what situation do you believe you'd be in today without an advisor?
I honestly don't know if I would have taken action because the coffee shop, it was quickly pointed out the risk and the amount of equity involved, and home services just any other type of franchising outside of food wasn't even on my radar. It didn't even cross my mind. So I don't know if I would have taken action or it would have taken more months to come to that realization.
Yeah, interesting. So maybe you could just go, I don't know. I don't know what you would have done, but you could have possibly gone into another job or got into a franchise without the advice of an advisor. So this advisor, the experience with the advisor, it narrowed it down on a number of brands, right? And then did you go through the education process with multiple brands?
Yeah, I did. I went through the interview process. I went through the validation with a couple of them. It's like each step I was kind of reducing it by one. Yeah.
So before we talk more about Voda, which I'm really excited about, I love drilling into this process because so many people are thinking, I don't want to work with an advisor. I don't want somebody there pushing me or, putting pressure on me to open a business. Tell us a little bit more about that experience, right? So how did the advisor help you narrow it from 10 to 3 to the ultimate Voda? And what things did you do within that process that you wouldn't have done without an advisor?
Yeah. So first I'll get a little bit of a soapbox because I always believe in hiring experts at what they're good at.
Yeah.
I know that I'm not an expert in the franchise field, but there are people that are. My husband's in finance. He's an expert at that. People hire him, for money management. The staff that I hired, I didn't know anything about restoration. So I hired someone that has many years of experience. So I believe in hiring the franchise coach because they have looked through how many franchises are there out there? I've heard like 4,000.
Yeah, 4,000.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. There's so many that you can choose from. So having an advocate that has looked through all these FDDs and can really kind of tell one from another and point out the pros and the cons of each, it just makes that process so much easier, so much faster, and you can be so much more confident in the choice that you make.
Mm-hmm. How about, sorry, I just want to keep drilling into this. How about funding? Did you have to get third-party funding or not?
I did. And so that was some of the support that I got from the advisor as well. So I took two different financing paths. One is the SBA, and then the second one is the ROBS program, which I didn't know before franchising. So another bonus of hiring the experts. I don't know the clientele, but rollover for business startup is what ROBS is. So we were able to take our retirement and then put it into our own company to where we're our own shareholders.
That's amazing. So your husband's a financial advisor, is that what I heard?
Yes.
So that was his recommendation, is to go ROBS, because we love ROBS, but I was just kind of curious that he sees all these different tools and he decided to go ROBS.
Yeah. I mean, it was a way because we had grown our retirement to a good amount, both he and I. So it was a way that we could fund our own, fund the company without doing everything SBA. So that was an opportunity that we didn't know existed, and just a way to, again, reinvest into ourselves and believe in ourselves and put our retirement money to work.
Yeah, I love it. Again, back to your point of hiring the expert, finding a financial tool that better suited your situation, and now you're in a better place because of it. What about on the legal side, right? So you had to dive into the FDD of Voda. Did the advisor help you get a lawyer, an experienced lawyer, to help you go through the FDD?
Yeah, they have recommendations on lawyers that you can use. So if you want to go that path, definitely do that, because lawyers are experts. They read through these paperworks and can determine what's good or bad.
Yep. And then how about territory? Like when it came down to territory, did you get the exact territory that you were hoping to get with Voda, or did you have to kind of figure out what was going to work based on what was available and the brand wanted you to move into?
Yeah, I did. So that was one of the criteria of choosing a franchise, is I wanted it in Sarasota, Manatee County. So I was able, with joining a newer franchise, there was a lot more space available. So I have 3 territories with them, and it's basically like a little pocket in Sarasota, Florida, Florida, if you know the area.
It's a fantastic location for restoration. You nailed it. Good job.
I love it. It's a good area.
All right. Well, let's talk about the process a little bit further. So you're getting to the end. You've decided maybe Voda is the brand for you. I assume you go to confirmation day. Was there a point when you were like, this is scary, I'm not so sure we want to do this? Or were you just confident from the beginning?
I think after discovery day, once I've been approved, there was probably a moment of, are we doing this? We're doing this. We're so far down the path, and we've been researching for months. Like, this is what we're doing. So yeah, there's a lot of emotions that come with it. But you know what overpowered the being scared is like just doing it, just having the courage to do it.
And by that time, you probably had gone through validation with existing franchisees, right?
Yes. Yeah. There was several calls, both individual or there was like group validation calls. So hearing everyone's experiences really helped kind of solidify that.
Yeah, and that's probably the most important part of the entire process. It's just talking to the people that are already doing it, saying, are you satisfied with your experience? Are you putting the time that you expected to put into it? Are you making the money you expected to make out of it? Would you do it again? All of these questions that happen in validation are so important. And, you had probably never heard of Voda Restoration heading into the process. Is that right?
Mm-mm.
And 2 to 3 months later, you walk out and you're a Voda Restoration franchisee. And so just imagine, obviously you're an intelligent person. Your husband's an intelligent person. You did not get put into a situation that you didn't feel real highly competent, highly confident you're going to be successful. And that all happened in this short amount of time with an advisor taking you through that process. So I only say that because I think so many people think about this process as being too intimidating, or they're too scared, or they're not going to have the right information. But with the right experts around you, it can happen pretty quickly.
Yep. Agreed.
Yeah. Hey, Sidekicks, it's Ryan Zink here. I'll never forget the moment I opened my first franchise, helping my first customer, hiring my first employee, and cashing my first check. It wasn't just a business, it was the beginning of living life on my terms. When Tyler and I started Franchise Sidekick, we reimagined how people would find brands and succeed in franchise ownership. We're the fastest growing franchise advisory group in the country because we built a smarter, tech-driven system. Our approach has helped people just like you purchase over 10,000 franchise locations, and we've earned a 5-star rating on Google doing it. Now we're sharing exactly how we do it in a quick 20-minute webinar titled 10,000 Locations and Counting, the Franchise Buyer's Blueprint. If you're ready to explore a path to financial freedom and take control over your future, this is your first step. And did I mention our services are always 100% free? Click the link below to sign up now, because you deserve to live life on your terms.
All right. So you signed the franchise agreement. What's next for Dina? So you're going to go to training, I assume. And so you're off to training, right?
Yeah, there's a couple month period of trying to figure everything out, like getting my certifications, get the financing down. But then all of that was done complete right before the training. Yes.
Yep. So go to training, and then you're coming back and reality kicks in. So tell us what happens at this point.
Yeah, reality definitely did kick in. So I was in a corporate training in Madison, Wisconsin, when Hurricane Helene hit Sarasota, Florida. So there was definitely a need for restoration. In fact, before I even got back to Sarasota, we already had a home lined up. So much so that we got into Tampa like at 2:00 in the morning, and by 8:00 the next morning, we were in someone's home.
Crazy.
And so we just got to work. It was trial by fire. And by the end of that week, we locked in 4 other homeowners, 2 more in a different area. All of that was just word of mouth, seeing and hearing our truck outside going to work on a Saturday. So we learned a lot in that first month with Hurricane.
And did you
work.
have people hired already? I assume you probably had a couple of people already hired, and we're just like, we're going right now. Get back from training, jump in your car, let's go. Is that pretty much what happened?
I had an operations manager who went to training with me, and we kind of just looked at each other as they're teaching lessons, and we're like, we're doing this, we're going. And then I also had a technician that I was supposed to start on Monday, so we just started a few days earlier. So thankfully, I had a team, albeit small. We were able to get going real fast.
It reminds me, I had a mentor that used to say, if you're not on the field, you can't catch the ball. And what he meant was you have to be out there doing these things to give yourself the opportunity, right? And business oftentimes is sort of like this. It's just flatline. And then all of a sudden you have an event that spikes. And you have to be on the field in order to take advantage of that. Yours just happened to come day one, which is fantastic, right? Trial by fire. But good for you, because I'm sure a lot of people after that were thinking, oh, I really wish I had a restoration company. Or I really wish I could capitalize on this. And they didn't, because they didn't take the steps that you did to put themselves in that position. So good for you.
Yeah, exactly. And what I like about that is, we had that training for a week long. We didn't know everything we need to do, but we knew how to, my operations manager knew how to complete the project. So while we were still learning systems and all that stuff, I had a support team at Voda. They were there all hours of the day, able to answer any questions. And we were just keeping our head down, making sure that we got the work done. And we were just figuring it out as we go, but making sure that the client was taken care of.
It's incredible. Could you imagine doing your own restoration company and then this happens and then you have nobody to call, you have nobody to lean on, and you don't have any of that support from a franchise? It'd be really, really difficult, I assume.
Yeah, I feel like it'd be like failure to launch. Where do you even start? So,
yeah. Okay, so how long ago was that? So give me some context here on timing. So that would have been how many months ago?
9 months.
9 months ago? Okay.
September 29th was my first day.
Yep. So full speed for the last 9 months. So let's talk about the first, a few months of that. So what were some challenges, maybe some things that were going great for you, some surprises? Walk us through the first few months.
Yeah, the first few months, apart from doing the work, speaking from a franchise standpoint, it was really learning the processes. Like I said, we had that week-long training, learning the systems, but we weren't fluent, or we weren't efficient at it. So the first couple months were really just learning the systems so we can use them efficiently, learning the Voda way. We have a cleaning side of the business, which I had not launched. It was just focused on restoration because of the hurricane cleanup. So the second part of that was launching the cleaning business. So training the technician on carpet cleaning, tile, and upholstery cleaning.
That's right. And your role, and you're still under a year, so maybe it hasn't changed too much, but has your role changed at all from the first 3 months to what you do today?
Yeah, I would say the first 3 months, it's just all hands on deck. I was there getting hot, sweaty with the guys and just trying to learn the restoration work myself. Because I think the best lessons are being able to do the work. So that way you can train or talk about it later on. So I'm less hands-on. I'm not doing any of the restoration and cleaning. I have a team that does that. So I'm more focused on sales, marketing, networking, and Voda has a saying, and probably with many companies, but being mayor of the town. So my goal is to connect with other business professionals in the area and then just put the Voda name out there.
And how have you found that to be difficult, easy? Tell us a little bit about how hard it is to network your services.
There's a lot of opportunity in this market. We have all these different type of networking groups. There's the Chamber of Commerce and types like that. There's I'm in a group called BNI, Business Networking International, which was really helpful for me because I was working remote 2 years. So I lived in Sarasota, but I didn't really have a network. I didn't really know anyone in Sarasota. So that helped me align with all these other home services professionals. So that way I can work on my restoration, but I can also have someone that does the painting, someone that does the build backs and whatnot. So that's been great, just getting to know other professionals in the area. There's just so many different things that I can that you can join to meet others. So that's been pretty nice. I realized working remotely that I was kind of living under a rock, in my home. So it's really invigorated or brought me back to life because I realize I'm energized by talking to others. So it's been just a great experience.
We hear that a lot with our clients that have been working remote for the last 3 or 4 years, and they think they love it, or they work from home a lot, but that connection is gone. So when they become a business owner, it's revived again, and you can be the mayor of the town. It's really empowering. I've done it several times with different franchises or different companies that I've owned locally with retail stores and things like that. You become the mayor. You know people. You go out to eat. You're like, oh, there's so-and-so. And it's just a different group of people. So I love the added benefit of that, being a business owner locally.
Mm-hmm.
So you're coming up on your 1 year anniversary. Looking back, let's say it's 1 year, you have a pretty good sense of probably where revenue and things will be at 1 year. Is it meeting expectation? Is it, when you got into it, are you where you thought you would be?
No, I'm not quite where I want to be, but I already had those expectations. Like I know starting a business, you don't become successful in 6 months. I mean, there's a possibility, but it really takes like 18 months to 2 years to build up. So that's really the mindset that I have. So I am building my foundation for the future. So financially, maybe a little bit lagging, but I'm taking all the right steps to get the business that I want to have in the future.
Love that. Well, how about future? So assuming that, the plan works out the way you want it to work out, what's the future hold for you?
Financially speaking?
Well, just, Voda related. Yeah. You tell me. It could be financially if you want, but I was thinking Voda related, or other franchises, where do you want to take this?
World domination, restoration, world domination.
Yeah. Well, first off, Florida takeover. I think I was franchisee number 3 to start. And since then, I want to say we have 8 to 10 different locations or different owners. So we've got a good base on the West Coast. So Tampa down to Southwest Florida, like Fort Myers down to Cape Coral. So my goal is not only for the Voda name to be known in Sarasota, Manatee County, I want Voda to be known in Florida, especially as the people that you go to in disaster. So that is my goal for branding, for marketing, for the Voda company as a whole. And so part of that is just me being here, making myself known in my area, but helping and providing the support that I can to other owners here in the Florida area.
Mm-hmm. And do you foresee yourself wanting to be a franchisee for the foreseeable future? And I'm not talking just Voda, it could be other brands too. Do you think franchising is something you will do for the majority of your working life? Or now that you've experienced it, do you think you'll move away from it?
Yeah, I really like the franchise concept because it gives you everything that you need. And more importantly, the support system. I think Voda does a great job. I have a franchise coach. There's Teams chats where we can just plug something in if we have questions. We have multiple weekly meetings. So I love the support system. I love the community that a franchise offers. I think if you open your own business, yes, you can be successful. It might take a little bit longer, but you could be on your own little island. So I love franchising. In fact, I was talking to my husband last week, we're kind of, we always think about the future. We're like, oh, I wonder what the next thing is. So I'm already kind of thinking about what complements Voda. I mean, I don't know if I'm going to do anything, but it's nice to dream. Definitely, I like franchising. It's not off the table to, keep rolling in that path.
Maybe talk real quick about your day-to-day right now in terms of how your life is different, holistically. You were working a 9 to 5. You're probably married to your Zoom screen a lot, I assume. Mm-hmm. How's your life day to day? Is it more fulfilling in terms of what you're doing? What's the general feeling that you have right now?
Yeah, I was doing the 9 to 5. I was working behind my computer at home by myself to where it was 5 o'clock. And I'm like, I got to get out of this house because I just need out. I don't want to be here 24/7. So my day to day is, I go to the office, I check in with my team, I check my calendar. I'm hoping to have a couple networking activities, whether that's a one-on-one or a luncheon or some sort of meeting. So my day to day is not as planned out. It's not repetitive. It's not redundant on a day-to-day basis. It changes, and I need that. I need to be out. I need to be mobile, and it's great having that flexibility, just having that different dynamic, just having different activities and meeting with different people. It changes on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah, change of environment. I get it, right? Sometimes that computer screen, we get pulled into it and it drains you. It makes you feel a little bit depressed at times. Like, I'm just staring at this.
It's a lot of energy right here.
Sometimes I'm looking at that. I'm like, I'm staring at a Zoom screen and it's not even a real person. It's a computer. It just doesn't register.
And I always tell my team, I'm like, I don't want to be here. Like if I'm at my computer, it's because I have to do like admin or payroll or something. But my goal is to never be in the office, because if I'm in the office, then no one's getting to know me. I mean, besides them. Of course, I'm there for my team. I check in with them. But like my goal is to be out in the community as much as possible.
Yeah, you mentioned office. Like, so you have an office. How many vans do you have?
I have a restoration truck, a cleaning van, and 2 little Kia Souls that we use to zip around town.
That's great. So office, 4 vehicles, multiple employees. Good for you. I mean, what a foundation after 9 months. You had mentioned the corporate office being very supportive and community being important there. Outside of community, what's the most important thing the franchisor does for you?
Oh gosh, I always say support. It's this, but it could be in people, in relationships. It's the systems.
So I guess maybe it's not a single thing. You're just saying it's the entire, it's the entire way that they support and work together to support you.
And the culture that they've built. It's working together, helping each other out. Like I'm actively in the teams, and like we have our own little Florida chat. So I'm always in there trying to encourage others. So I think it's the whole culture. It's the support. It's just the people. I feel like they're ambitious, and they're like, I don't know, they're the type of people that I connect with and I don't know, get motivated off of, if that makes sense.
That's always my favorite part of a franchise system, is actually the system of franchisees. Support's great, from the corporate level, but it's almost like a mini mastermind. You get to hang around the people who are going through the same challenges you are, and maybe a lot of times have actually done a better job or a good job of overcoming those challenges. You can just simply call them. But I love that aspect of just being a local mastermind, Florida people, like you said, Florida Voda or whatever.
Yeah. And then because all of us are kind of on the same journey, right? But you can ask them like, hey, have you tried doing this? And someone probably has, and then they can give you the answer, and then you don't waste your time, or you might go in that path because they found it to be super successful. So it's the fact that you're not in it alone. Like all of us are like soldiers in our own territories, but we're all kind of doing the same thing and building our own markets up.
Yeah, there's kind of a popular saying in franchising, you're in business for yourself, but not by yourself, right? Again, and I've put pieces of content out there before that I think just the networking is worth the price of admission. The franchise fee and the royalty, if all you got, you put me in any business and you give me access to a couple dozen people that are already having success in that business with the opportunity to speak to them regularly, it's a mastermind. And now all of a sudden you get brand and tech and other support as well. And it's like, this is why it all works really well. Now, I bet as part of that community, you see the ones that are doing really well, but you also probably see a handful that are maybe not doing so well. And I know Voda overall is a very successful system, but what are maybe 1 or 2 mistakes that you see from people that are not having the success they want?
I'll probably go back to the hiring the experts for what they are good at or what they've experienced. I think one of the shortcomings is maybe not hiring. Like if you're self-conscious on budget, you might not hire someone or pay enough for that role. So like I always talk about my operations manager because he comes with 25 years of experience and I pay accordingly. So I think that's kind of the shortcoming is, yes, I know we're all on a budget, but you also like the success of your business can also be exponentially grown if you hire the experts. So I will always say to hire you're going to hear me say, I say that a lot, hire the experts. But yeah, I think that's one of the shortcomings is not hiring the right people. Do the interviews, have multiple interviews. Don't just settle on the first one. Keep having interviews so you can find the right fit because, you're putting a lot of money on the table. This is your business. So you need to find someone that is like equally interested in growing something.
So right now there's some layoffs happening. There's quite a bit of layoffs happening. If you have some advice for somebody who's maybe going through what you did, what would you recommend they do? They're sitting at a table right now, maybe with their wife or husband, and they're saying, man, what do I do at this point? What would you suggest?
Yeah, I would say start the journey. Like there's no penalty in like just doing some research if you even have the slightest bit of interest. If you find some companies or if you want to hire a coach, they can kind of help you navigate and find those companies that have proven success. And then on top of that, just going through the process. If you start interviewing those companies, going through like that validation, then, it's your time, but it could pay off so much more in the future. And don't be scared. Like if you want to invest in yourself, believe in yourself, have the courage to do it. And you're your biggest advocate. If you don't go, like no one's going to push you towards it, but I would say you got to do it. Just explore the path, because what's going to happen is you're going to go to maybe another corporate job and you're always going to wonder, should I have done it? Could I have been happier if I did that? So you're doing yourself a disservice if you don't even explore the option.
I love that. If you were to rate yourself 1 out of 10 before you became a Voda franchisee on business ownership, 10 being the best, how would you have rated yourself?
I don't know. I would maybe 4 or 5.
4 or 5.
I'll put myself at average. Like I feel like I have a good base and understand like what it would take, but I also learned so much more by launching. And there's a lot of things I didn't know. So I'll say average, and then Voda's, maybe got me at like a 7, and there's still more room to grow there.
But in a short amount of time, you've jumped from a 4 or 5 to a 7. And a lot of people would look at themselves and say, I'm a 4 or 5, franchising's not for me, or business ownership's not for me because I don't know enough. I remember one of my partners in a franchise, we sat down and he goes, I have no idea how to read a P&L. And I said, that'll come really fast. Trust me. Like all these things, as soon as it gets there, you're like, oh, it's actually not that hard to do a lot of the things in business ownership once you're forced to do it. It's just until you're forced to do it, you're never going to be an expert at it. So that's why when you say you just have to do it, you just have to explore it, you just have to have some confidence in yourself and then pick the right system to support that. The other thing I love about what you said is, or at least that I can see, is the satisfaction that you have now in being a business owner. A lot of times I like to say the 80-year look back. So imagine you're 80 years old and you look back. Like, don't you think you're going to have so much more pride in your decisions or satisfaction with your life because you took the leap and said, I bet on myself, versus if you were to look back and say, I never bet on myself. I just worked for somebody else for my whole life.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's why I'm doing what I do, or probably why other franchisees do what they do, is, it's tough right now. I'm in the trenches. So, you're thinking about a million things, but you're hoping for that payoff. So, by the time you're 80, you're gonna be like, that was crazy. Or do you remember when I stressed about this little thing and it really meant nothing, because now I have this grand thing. And it's just like that satisfaction of being able to do something that was challenging, or getting out of your comfort zone and doing it. So
that's the satisfaction. Can I do one more follow up on that? Do you have any kids?
I do. Oh my gosh, I'm a crazy one. So my son was 1 when I started this franchise journey. And I don't know why I thought, what would be fun? Having a toddler and opening a business at the same time. It's been wild, but guess what? It's manageable. I'm doing it. So I am like living proof that it doesn't matter what you have in life. Like if you believe in yourself, if you believe in opening a business, there's a way to do it. Now,
let's say you're a business owner for at least the next 16 years. And did you say it was a boy?
Yeah.
Until he's gone. Let's say he moves out at 18, you're a business owner the whole time. How does it make you feel that he gets to watch your entrepreneurial journey that whole time?
Yeah, that has been the greatest. So he's found his voice. So he's talking a lot. He's 2.5, but one of the coolest things I had is, when the hurricane hit, I remember we had a U-Haul, we had rental equipment because I just launched. I didn't have all of that stuff, but we were still going to find a way. But I remember having all the rental equipment in my garage because I didn't have an office space yet. And having my son he's probably 1.5 at that time, just over. He was in the U-Haul trying to help Daddy load the dehumidifiers into the van, and he just was so happy. And in another instance, I was getting my tile cleaned, and I had the Voda van right out by my garage, and he pointed to it. I have a picture of it on my Facebook. He goes, "Mommy's car." It's he's seen it. He's seen that I'm opening this business, and I'm setting that example for him. So I am very proud that I could be that example for my son.
It's the greatest joy. I actually did this past weekend. We were going through old pictures, and I actually had a picture of my son in one of our supplement stores, franchise supplement stores, when he was probably 1.5. And he vaguely, he can't really remember it, but it was just that picture of him pulling stuff off the shelves. And we were joking, me and my wife were joking about it. Like, yeah, we used to have to clean up after you in those stores, but he got to watch this. And I have another son now, and they get to watch this entrepreneur journey. And it's probably the best thing that I can give them, just for them to understand and they're proud. Now it's Sidekick. They want to come work for Sidekick, by the way.
Hey, they're in.
They're going to sell franchises at some point. But like, they love that. I love it. It gives me such pride. So you will look back on those pictures and just think about how impactful that was and how crazy it was. But you're going to look back and say that was so unbelievable.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it just makes me smile thinking about it.
I think it's one of the most important benefits that isn't talked about enough is what your kids see. And not just the good, but the hard stuff that it took to get you there, right? You're still in a hard time, and someday you won't be. But, he gets to watch the entire way, which is great.
Yeah, for sure.
I got more, but you go ahead.
Oh, let's get on.
Yeah, all right. So
go for it.
I am curious. I always find this interesting. So you decided to go with Voda. Let's say Voda sold out in Sarasota and you couldn't do it. What was the second brand?
Oh, Junk Kings. But I like the fact that there was... there's no storage in Florida. You have to have storage units. There's no basements. So like people have to get rid of their stuff or pay to store it. So I love the fact that they offer that dumpster removal service. And then they also are a green company. So they, I think they rehome furniture or donate it. And so ironically enough, I actually know the lady who took over Junk Kings here in Sarasota. So I use her for my services.
Very good. But I love it. So it sounds like you're very much home service type, low cost services that people need, which is great. We're big believers in home services.
Multi-territory. More territory for your money.
Mm-hmm.
Which is a big part of franchising, in my opinion. And so you said you secured 3 territories, right?
Mm-hmm.
I believe, and you're probably feeling this right now, oftentimes one territory sort of feels like you bought yourself a job, but that's not the goal, right? The goal is to take the systems that you've developed in one territory and replicate it across many. I think you've already kind of illustrated a little bit about how you want the brand to be the Florida domination, right? So is the idea that you create systems in one, you scale to many, and as long as you have the energy to run the business, you run it, but someday you get to exit that, and the exit is meaningful because you have a much larger territory?
Yeah, I think there's plenty of room for growth. I mean, we're staying busy right now, but I've really only tapped into a little bit of my market. Having the 3 territories allows me to grow as, grow my trucks, grow my technicians as the money comes in.
Mm-hmm. Yep, love that. And if you were to buy a franchise again, would you do it on your own or would you hire an advisor? Good. And I want you to give me the straight up, open, honest, and direct answer to this. I don't want you to sugarcoat it because you're on the podcast. Are there any downsides to using an advisor?
I don't think so. I mean, I like the validation that having a coach brought. It really, while we like to do our research, they really cut to the chase. Like, here, based on your needs, based on your personality, this is what we think will be good for you. So I think I don't see any doubt. I mean, it costs a little bit of money, but if you're going to invest hundreds of thousands into opening a business, I think that's totally worth it. It's like hiring a lawyer before you sign on with the company. It's, just hiring the professionals before you invest hundreds of thousands.
And the reality is you don't really need to make any investment until you're pretty far down the path of a brand, right? You get to actually go and see the brands and explore those opportunities before you're anything out of pocket.
Yeah, exactly. There's a lot of opportunity to learn about each company before you fully sign on.
Yep. Very good. Well, with that's really where I wanted to go. I had to get all the way to the exit,
you're
right?
Good, man. You're good. Well, this has been fantastic. So anything else that you want to share with us, Nina? Your journey has been really inspirational. It sounds like you're really dialed in. I'm excited to watch you grow and watch your toddler grow up to take over the dynasty someday. But is there anything else that you want to share with us today?
I don't think so. I think I've gone through everything. It was just a pleasure talking to you guys. I love sharing my story and hopes that it might be inspiration for someone who's looking into business ownership and specifically with franchising.
And if you're in Sarasota, you now have a somewhere you can call if you need restoration and or cleaning, because you guys do the cleaning as well. So just so anybody listening or watching, Sarasota, this is your person right here.
Yep. And if you're Dan Clapp's CEO of Voda, if you're watching, know that Nina's now part of the Sidekick family. She's got our full support. Give her the good stuff.
Absolutely.
All right,
you guys
Nina,
are awesome.
Thank you so much. We appreciate you, fellow former Omahaan, now living down in the sunshine. We're all very jealous of you, and we wish you good luck in your entrepreneurial journey.
Thank you, guys.
All right. Thanks for joining us on the Sidekick Life, where we highlight true sidekicks, entrepreneurs who've got their customers' backs, solve real-world problems, and after helping enough people, get to live the life they've always dreamed of. We'll see you next time.